This is Swami Satyananda Paramahamsa, the founder of Bihar School of Yoga and my Guru, Gurave Namaha. I don't have to say anything about this. தமிழ்நாடு செய்த தவப்பயனாய் இங்கு அவதரித்து கொங்கு மண்டலத்தின் நல்வினையால் இங்கு அறிவித்திருக்கோயில் அமைத்த ஆழியார் சித்தர் வேதாத்ரி மகரிஷிக்கு என்னுடைய பணிவான வணக்கங்கள். Salutations to all the gurus, yogis and jnanis who strive tirelessly to give us this knowledge so that we can live healthy and happy. At the outset, I thank Dr. Rabindranath and Dr. Vijayalakshmi for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on Nadis in this forum. First, I want to clarify that I am not in your league. This forum is about the causal body and the most subtle aspects of creation and life force. I am a doctor who deals with the physical body and its functions, and due to my yoga sadhana, a little bit into the subtle body. I am not contradicting Vethathiriyam in any way, but only stating the little knowledge I gain due to the grace of my Guru. Please bear with me if there are any differences in perception. Nadi, the root word in Sanskrit for Nadi is Nad, which means to flow or movement. Nadis are pathways of pranic flow, pranic current in the body and mind, and they are the subtle flows of vibration. Just as energy is not tangible, Nadi is also not tangible. There are supposed to be 72,000 Nadis in the body. So you can think of them as nano tunnels or nanotubules. To understand Nadis, we have to know a little bit about prana first. So prana, according to our Shastras, is said to be the first manifestation of consciousness. It is the cosmic creative energy. It is the universal life force or vital energy. So, I don't know how to equate it with Maharishi's terminologies, but this is what yoga says. So, this is the universal life force or the vital energy which differentiates life and death, that sustains and nourishes life. The prana is used in two meanings. When somebody has passed away, we say pranan poirchi in Tamil. That is, the prana has left. And supposing a child, is troubling the mother too much, she will say, Yenda I am pranana vangre. That is, why are you draining my energy? So it is used in two ways, as a life and a force. So, and we use the term life force together. And this was known to all the Eastern cultures where prana is referred to by different names. In India, it's called prana. In China, it's called shi or chi. And Japan, it's ki, as a reiki. All of you must be familiar with reiki. Greece, it's pneuma. Hawa, it's manna. Tibet, it's lung, and science may call it vital force. And all these names are connected to the breath. So they were aware that breathing is the source of prana to the body. And the body, this pranamaya, we know we have panchakoshas, annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, and vijnanamaya, and anandamaya. So the pranamaya kosha is the subtle body as a sukshma sarira, or what we call the energy body or the aura. And this is present inside us and around us also. So modern science calls it aura, and it has been proved scientifically by Kirlian photography. The Kirlian photography is using high voltage electromagnetic photography, and this field of charged particles can be affected internally by mind and externally by electric, magnetic and electromagnetic fields. So this is already I have told this slide. So this is the picture of the Kirlian photography. The Kirlian photography uses high voltage, about 40,000 volts I heard, of electromagnetic technique that captures the electrical coronal discharges around the objects, often creating a glowing, colorful silhouette. Developed by Semyon Kirlian and his wife Valentina in 1930 in Russia. Even I have gone through this photography once, and it is really surprising. I had not told them anything about my history. I had had an oophorectomy and a cholecystectomy, and the picture, when it came out, the result said there is a deficiency in the gallbladder and ovary. So I was really surprised and know the effectiveness of this photography. So this is the description about it. And in Shastras, if prana is said to be in different words, it's described. So first thing is called the Mahaprana. So from prana, all the living beings are born, remain alive, and in the end merge again into prana. That's what Taittiriya Upanishad says. And all of us know this. In this group, I don't have to talk much about this. Thousands of years ago, our yogis and rishis have described this macrocosmic, universal, all-encompassing energy as the Mahaprana. All living beings draw sustenance from this Mahaprana through the breathing process. And this is called Vasi in Siddha tradition. In Tamil, if you write Shiva, and Vasi is the mirror image, Shiva, Vasi. So, Vasi, that is what the prana and the consciousness and the mirror image is the prana. So, Vasi Yogam is the precious contribution of Siddhas to us. Prana Shakti is what is called when it comes into our body. Mahaprana is macrocosmic and Prana Shakti is which enters the physical body and functions as a microcosmic energy, and then it is called Prana Shakti. So our body, our physical structure develops and grows from a combination of three things. One is intelligence, that is the consciousness. Second is energy, Shakti or Prana, and matter. Matter is the stuff of which we are made of. Energy is the process of movement, and intelligence is the guide to its growth. So the use of pranayama and bandhas in yoga is to enhance, to cultivate and to contain the flow of pranic force. And the knowledge of prana and nadis help to redirect this life force for maximum efficiency and ease in the body and mind. And inside the body, this is divided in the name of Panchapranas into 5 pranic bodies. And actually, prana and consciousness are two poles of the same one source, the self. The moment prana leaves the body, consciousness also departs. So prana has been described as a type of complex multidimensional energy consisting of a combination of electrical, magnetic, electromagnetic, photonic, thermal, mental and chemical energies which are interconnected and interchangeable. So when prana and mind are inseparable, we know the Siddhas thing, manmanam engundu, vayuvum angundu, manmanam engilai, vayuvum angilai. So vayu here means the prana. Breath is the external manifestation of this subtle force. So control of prana means control of mind. And breath is the secret tool to control the prana. So yogis were aware of this thousands of years ago. This is the picture of Panchapranas. Prana, Apana, Samana, Udana and Vyana. You can see the diagram. And prana, these are all just different names of the same energy, but I don't have the proper explanation. Maybe the chemical nature of it is denoted by this. The prana means, this again the third term prana. It controls the function of the heart and lungs and all the activities that takes place in the chest region, such as breathing, swallowing and circulation of blood. Apana is present between the navel and the perineum and controls the function of kidneys, bladder, bowel, excretory and reproductive systems. Samana exists between the rib cage and the navel. It activates and controls the digestive processes responsible for digestion and assimilation of nutrients. Udana is located in the arms, legs and head, responsible for sensory perception and motor activity. And Vyana pervades the whole body and acts as a reserve energy, regulates and coordinates the muscle movements, helps all the other pranas when they need a boost. There are 5 upapranas or the minor pranas called Pancha Upapranas. Naga is for belching and hiccups, Kurma is for opening the eyes, Krikara induces hunger and thirst, Devadatta is yawning, Dhananjaya is responsible for the decomposition of the body after death. This is the only prana which remains in our body even after death for about 48 hours, they say. So this is the picture of Nadis. As we saw, the Nadis are pathways of energy, are not physical structures. They are not nerves, blood vessels, or lymph vessels. Just as a creeper grows along a pole, these nadis also flow along the nerves. They cannot be seen or demonstrated or on dissection on a dead body because they belong to the subtle body. For example, if you cut the throat, you cannot find any words. When you perform brain surgery, you cannot find a thought. But we know words and thought exist. So it is with nadis. But as we gain sensitivity, insight, and experience in yoga, we can become aware of the flow of energy. When the air flows in a room, we cannot see it, but your skin feels it. The same way, you need a different and more subtle mode of perception to experience the prana and the nadis. Meridians. In traditional Chinese medicine has a similar concept of meridians. The meridians are said to transport the chi or life force energy throughout the body. The Chinese have developed a very simple, economic, and safe science of acupressure and acupuncture based on this concept of meridians and acupuncture points. A lot of research has been done in China and the West on acupuncture and its efficacy. Of course, in us, we don't have so much research about the nadis. That's why I'm taking this from the traditional Chinese medicine aspect. Acupuncture points are located on the meridians at specific locations, usually in depressions near muscles, joints, and bones. Chi can be accessed and manipulated to promote healing and well-being through these points. Stimulating these points is believed to influence physiological processes such as nerve function, blood circulation, energy circulation, and muscle relaxation, potentially leading to pain relief and overall health improvement. In the same way, in yoga, specific yogasanas have the same effect on these particular acupuncture points. And we all know that Maharishi has given a beautiful 14-point acupuncture system. So these acupuncture points have been frequently described as having distant electrical properties. These properties include increased conductance, reduced impedance and resistance, increased capacitance, and elevated electrical potential compared to the adjacent non-acupuncture points. This research was conducted by Yoshio Nakatase in Japan in 1956 and Liboyet J.E.H. in France in 1957. I don't know the meaning of all this, so I just copied the research report. Of course, not all researchers have corroborated these findings, and there is the branch called biophysics. So modern biophysics research has proved that maybe these acupuncture meridians are bioinformational network, not only transmitting fluid and electrical signals, but also quantum signals in the form of biophotons and quantum electric coherence in the interstitial channels. So biophotons are said to be weak light emissions from living organisms that are seen as a potential link between physical and metaphysical aspects of consciousness. Some theories propose that they are involved in cellular communication and information transfer. So we can assume that nadis also have similar properties. So number of nadis. In the outset, I said 72,000 nadis. That is according to Hatha Yoga Pradipika. But there are other views. Prapancha Tantra says there are 300,000 nadis. Shiva Samhita says 350,000 nadis. In reality, the body is filled with uncountable number of nadis. Each cell there is a branch of nadi is going to each cell. So if they were revealed to the eye, the body would present an appearance of a highly complicated chart of currents. Like the picture Dr. Tarun showed us the other day about his thing, your graph we saw. I think it will be like that. Regardless of the exact fear, figure, a description is the same. That is as fine strand like threads, even finer than the spider web, similar to those of the lotus stem. So, Dr. Hiroshima Motoyomi, a Japanese researcher who worked closely with my Guru Swami Satyananda Paramahamsa, he has done a lot of research with Bihar School of Yoga, and he has found that stable voltage of electromagnetic currents flowing within close proximity to the nervous system, not in the nervous system, but in close proximity to the nervous system. And that supports the view of the yogis that the nadis flow along the nerves. And he cites this as an evidence of the existence of nadis and acupuncture meridians. So within this network of nadis, there are 10 main nadis called the dasa nadis. And of these 10, 3 are most important, for they control the flow of prana and consciousness within all the other parts of the body. And they are called the Ida Nadi, Pingala Nadi, and the Sushumna Nadi. Of course, all of you who are in the yoga are very, very familiar with this, but just for the completion's sake, I will go through them also. So, these are their high voltage pathways which conduct energy to the substations or chakras situated along the spinal column. Ida is known as the moon. So, I'll come to the next slide. But here what you see is from the Mooladhara, I'll explain the flow of the nadis in a later slide. From here, see all the 3 things start in the Mooladhara chakra, and Ida flows to the left and then comes around. The Pingala goes to the right and then comes around. Sushumna goes straight from there. So I'll explain the slide again a little later on. Okay? And Ida and Pingala and Sushumna are the 3 most important nadis, we said. And I'll come to the characteristics, but this slide has come before. It should come a little later. But here itself, I'll tell you, Ida, we corresponded to the parasympathetic nervous system, Pingala to the sympathetic nervous system, and Sushumna to the central nervous system, because the qualities of the Ida Nadi and Pingala Nadi are almost similar to the 2 autonomic nervous systems. So Ida and Pingala and Sushumna conduct prana and consciousness, and I told you high voltage pathways. This slide we've gone through. So Ida is known as the moon energy or the Manas Shakti and controls all the mental processes. And Pingala is known as the sun energy, controls all the vital processes, and is called, again, there is this thing, this is called Prana Shakti. Sushumna is the channel for the awakening of spiritual consciousness and is called Atma Shakti, and this is supposed to be the aspect of fire and light. In Tamil, they call it Idagalai, Pingalai, and Sulumunai. That in the previous slide you saw that. Idagalai is Chandra Nadi, Pingalai is Surya Nadi, and Sulumunai is the Nadu Nadi, or the central axis, or the Arul Nadis, they say. So, we have in some of the Tamil song, they say, in Vinayagar Agaval, they say, Mooladharathu Moondelu Kanalai. That is, there is a fire in the Mooladhara chakra. That is called Moolak Kanal. So that is the fire aspect of the Sushumna Nadi, which is lying dormant. Fire is the one that illumines and enlightens. So when the fire of Sushumna is activated and it rises up, it illuminates the entire being, and such people are called the enlightened souls. So this is a little chart about the qualities of the Ida and Pingala Nadi. So Ida Nadi is connected to the left nostril breathing, Pingala to the right nostril breathing, and Ida to the right hemisphere of the brain. Pingala is to the left. As I told you, solar and lunar already we said. And this corresponds to the traditional Chinese view of yin and yang. Yin and yang are the 2 aspects of very important aspects in traditional Chinese medicine. Yin is supposed to be the negative principle, and yang is the positive, the feminine and masculine, and yin is supposed to be the mental activity, and the Pingala, the physical. This already we said. And because of this, when the Ida it causes introversion, and Pingala causes extroversion. That is, it brings you out into the waking state, and Ida takes you deeper into the passive states of meditation. So, origin of Nadis. So, why this is called the cooling Nadi and heat Nadi is when Ida is associated with the parasympathetic nervous system, which creates a general state of relaxation and lowers body temperature. And that is why it is supposed to be the cooling Nadi, and it is the energy conserving Nadi. Whereas Pingala is associated with the sympathetic, which activates the physical body and its energy, and it is as invigorating as the sun's rays. So the body temperature increases and there is more energy expenditure. So one is energy conserving and the other is energy expenditure, which also corresponds to the medical view. So, and Sushumna is normally very dormant, and only when these two flows are balanced, then the Sushumna becomes active. And the object of yoga is to connect these two, Nida and Pingala, to balance these two nadis so that the Sushumna will wake up and rise. And then that is supposed to connect the finite body to the infinite source. So, origin of nadis. This picture is the picture of Mooladhara Chakra. All of you, I am sorry I haven't put the name of the chakra here. So, all the three nadis start from the Mooladhara Chakra. And according to yoga, there are these place where it is arising is called Kanda. Kanda is a crucial concept in the subtle anatomy of nadis. It is described as an egg-shaped energy center in the Mooladhara, which is situated between the anus and the root of the reproductive organs. Iruvaiki iruviral mele, karuvaiki iruviral kele is the description given by Siddharth, and all of us, we have already talked about it so many times. And it is called the Yukta Triveni. So it is so called because all the three nadis are together here and take origin. And the other Triveni is Mukta Triveni, that is the Agnya Chakra. Agnya Chakra, when again all these three nadis join in the Agnya Chakra, and that is called the Mukta Triveni. And it is this Kanda is supposed to be the storehouse of energy, and especially the Kundalini energy, which is often depicted as a coiled sleeping serpent within the Kanda. But is there this is the picture of the perineal body, this is the pelvis and the pelvic floor musculature you can see here. See, these are all the pelvic floor muscles here. And all these muscles and tendons come and attach here. And this center part is called the perineal body, a small, thickened, fibrous musculature. Here we have the urethral opening. Here we have the vaginal opening. And here we have the anal opening. So above the anus and below this reproductive place is called there is a structure here that's called perineal body. And medically, maybe this is connected, this is supposed to be the physical representation of the Mooladhara Chakra. So we are not so very sure about it. It's supposed to be a vestigial gland. This perineal body is supposed to be a vestigial gland in humans. And it's a crucial, it's a fibromuscular structure located in the perineum, the area between the anus and genitals, and essentially a dense mass of connective tissue where various muscles and ligaments attach. It is essential for the maintenance of pelvic floor integrity and continence. So, maybe it was a gland before. Now, in the past, in the other yugas, this was also an active gland, but now it is supposed to be a vestigial gland, and we have no proof of Kanda or the Mooladhara Chakra or anywhere, but we take so many things on belief, and yoga says, this is what just yoga says. And I went into the AA to check, and they say, while Mooladhara Chakra is an energetic concept, the perineal body is its primary anatomical landmark and a crucial area for practices aimed at balancing and activating this foundational root chakra. So this is exactly what we are using in our kayakalpayoga. So coming to the same picture again about the pathways of the Nadis. So here, all the three start from the Mooladhara chakra. And then the Pingala Nadi goes to the left first and then takes a turn, comes back to the center, crosses over, takes a right turn, again comes to the center, again goes to the left and then right, and then enters the Agnya chakra from the left side. And the Pingala Nadi starts here, takes a right turn first, and then left, and then the same way in the opposite way it takes, and joins the Agnya chakra from the right side. And the Sushumna Nadi is the central Nadi, goes straight from the Agnya, pierces the Agnya, from Mooladhara, it pierces the Agnya chakra and goes straight into the Sahasrara. And in this process of this crisscross takeover, all the three Nadis meet at 4 places. They intersect each other at 4 places. So the beginning is Mooladhara, ending is Agnya, but in between these 4 points are the Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddhi. So when 2 streams of water, they crisscross, you know that it forms a whirlpool. So same way, when 2 rivers of energy, they cross each other, there is a whirlpool of energy. And this whirlpool or the sulal is called the chakras. So the important note in this picture is that the Ida and Pingala Nadi stop at the Agnya chakra here. So it's an amazing similarity that the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems also stop in the midbrain, and only the central nervous system goes up to the brain. So this is again another similarity that I have found. And we have a similar concept in the Chinese medicine also. This is called Taiji pole. So Taiji pole, this is the one, the center aspect. So this is the Taiji aspect according to the TCM. So this is supposed to be a link between the energy center located between link between the heaven and the earth. So it starts from the top of the head. It starts from the top of the head and then comes what we call as the Mooladhara chakra. And it is supposed to be the link between the cosmic forces of heaven and the terrestrial energies of the earth through the body. So the energies are here outside. There is the physical earth energy and then the heaven energy, they call it. And then through the body, this Taiji pole connects the 2 energies. That's what they say. So Taiji pole, as I said, in traditional text, Taiji pole is depicted as a link between the cosmic force of heaven and terrestrial energies. And again, artificial intelligence says the Taiji pole and the Sushumna Nadi represents the fundamental concepts of central energy channel that runs along the spine, critical for cultivating energy and achieving higher states of consciousness in their respective traditions. Although they are distinct terms arising from different cultures, the energetic and spiritual functions they described are equally similar. So you can see that it's an energetic line, and this is also supposed to be between the anus and testicles, and it's got 3 major channels. Taiji pole within it contains 3 channels. One is called the governing channel. That is the yang aspect, or that is Jumai it's called, and it's a yang aspect and corresponds to a Pingala Nadi. And then the second one is the conception vessel. It's called Renmai, or the yin aspect, corresponds to the Ida Nadi. And the thrusting vessel, that is, it thrusts and goes up to the Sahasrara. That's called Chongmai, which is undifferentiated, and it represents the Sushumna. So when we come to the chakras, we already saw how chakras are formed. Because of the intersection of the Ida, Pingala and Sushumna Nadis, the whirlpool that is formed is called the chakra. So in Sanskrit and Tamil, chakra means a wheel, a circle, or something round and spinning, a vortex or a whirlpool. So we've discussed about this. There are many chakras all over the body, but the main chakras within the spinal column are the 6 one we saw. Like Mooladhara, all of you know all that, I don't want to go into it. So these chakras act as intermediaries, receiving energy from higher levels and transmitting it throughout the body. due to their physical proximity and corresponding functions. So this is, and the main thing we have to emphasize here is they are situated in the astral body. And do we have any correlation in the physical body? So due to the physical proximity and the corresponding function, these main chakras are often identified with the endocrine glands. But we must always remember the differentiation. So the Muladhara with the perineal body and the coccygeal plexus, Swadhisthana with the ovary and testis and the hypoglossal plexus, Manipura with the adrenals and solar plexus, Anahata with the thymus and cardiac plexus, Vishuddhi is the thyroid and cervical plexus, Agnya is pituitary and hypothalamus, and Sahasrara is the brain. So these chakras at the lower centers vibrate more slowly, and they are at the lowest energy level of energy circuits. They vibrate more slowly in comparison to the higher chakras in the throat and head. So the rate of vibration in each chakra in turn affects the function of the endocrine glands. So that is how the energy and the endocrine glands are different, and the functioning of the endocrine gland can affect the chakras, and then by activating the chakras, we can have an influence on the endocrine glands and the metabolic activities of the whole body. The whole entire body structure can be affected, and the metabolism through the action of these chakras. In animals, Muladhara is supposed to be the highest chakras, and in human beings, it's the lowest. This explains the level of consciousness and how the primal energy, which rests in the Muladhara, can be transformed into spiritual energy, and the human beings can reach higher levels of consciousness by awakening the chakras through prana and other yogic practices. And Muladhara and Vishuddhi, they have the tattvas, colors, and everything. There is a lot of science behind this chakras. So Muladhara is supposed to be connected to the earth tattva in Panchabhutas, and its color is red, and the number of petals is 4. The number of petals, it says it is the Nadis, number of Nadis it is connected to, decides the number of petals, it says. So Swadhisthana is connected to water, orange color and 6 petals. Manipura is fire with a yellow color and 10 petals. Anahata is air. The green, the color is due to the vibration of the corresponding, the color spectrum. What the vibration is, according to that, this color is given to the chakras. And Vishuddhi is the ether, it's blue in color and 16 petals. Agnya is the mind, which is represented by indigo and 2 petals. And Sahasrara is the consciousness, which is violet and is supposed to have 1,000 petal lotus. Each chakra is said to be a lotus with so many petals. And Sahasrara, when we say 1,000 petals, it is not just 1,000 in number. 1,000 means uncountable. That's too many. That means the 84 billion neurons in our brain. So that is what 1,000 represents. So that is why Sahasrara, I feel, represents the brain in the medical parlance. So we just saw the basic anatomy and the functions of this thing. Now we'll come to the purification of nadis. Swamiji always says, Karamaya Tuimai, the purification is a very important aspect in Maharishi's teaching. So what do we mean when we say we have to purify the nadis? Nadis, chakras and karmayam. Prana can never become impure, can it? Can electricity and magnetism become impure? No. Then what is the problem? That is only the changes in the quality and quantity of the flow of prana in the nadis and chakras. So then there can be stagnation, there can be imbalance, there can be blocks, or there can be a decreased pranic level. So stagnation happens because of inertia or the tamasic nature caused by sedentary lifestyle and prolonged inactivity. Imbalance is due to the underactivity or overactivity. See, the physical underactivity or mental overactivity and underactivity, that is caused by the nervous system and our lifestyle systems. You know that I've already said Ida and Pingala are sympathetic and parasympathetic. And today we are always in the sympathetic mode. We want to do something always, and the rest time is very much limited. So there is an imbalance in the activity and rest balance. It is more of sympathetic and less of parasympathetic. So that imbalance also can cause pranic problems. And then blocks happen. Blocks happen due to the stiffness of muscle. See, all these nadis and meridian, they flow through in externally. When they go in the body, they go through the muscles and joints, and internally into the organs, through the organs and interstitial tissues and fascia and all that. So when you use the muscles and joints, when there is stiffness in the muscles and joints, the flow of prana is blocked. And that is where the muscles, when it get into knots, we call them trigger points. And then when the joints are not used properly and to the full extent, the joints get thickened, and then they also impede the flow of prana shakti. And any injury, trauma, scar tissue, and the same way, unresolved emotions can, the emotional stress causes physical stress in the body and physical stiffness in the body. You will know that you have neck stiffness, back stiffness, and all due to the emotional problems also. So when these blocks happen, so imagine there is a river and a dam is built across it. There is a block to the free flow of water. So there are water accumulations behind the dam and depletion below the dam. This stagnation is supposed to cause pain according to TCM. Maharishi also has stated the same view. When there's accumulation of prana, it takes a short circuit and then that causes the pain. So due to the block, there is more prana in some areas. When you take the nadis, due to the block, there is more prana in some areas and less or no prana in other areas. Supposing you imagine you have your electrical equipments like TV or fridge. If there is high voltage, the fuse may blow up. If there is low voltage, its function is not optimal. So either way, the efficiency is affected. So the same way, when there is more prana also, the efficiency is not good, and when there is less prana also, the efficiency is affected. And blocks can also happen due to physical injuries, trauma, blood congestion, repetitive strain, emotion and psychological stress, scar tissues, organ dysfunctions, because internally in the body, the nadis flow through the organs. So when there is organ dysfunction also, they get blocked. And because the nadis get blocked also, the organs go into a dysfunction. Both ways it is true. And also the external factors like excessive heat and cold. So all these things can cause blocks in the flow of the prana. And the other thing is decreased pranic levels. We all know, as we said already, breath is the medium by which we get prana. Not only breath, we get it through the food also. See, the plants, they do a wonderful job of taking prana from the atmosphere and then connecting it with the earth element, then the water element, then the heat element from the sun. It takes all that and it gives us the prana through the food and gives all the necessary essentials for the growth of our body and sustenance of the body also. So we get prana through both the ways, by breathing and through the food also. But the main important thing is the breathing. So why decreased pranic level is due to the improper breathing. And our posture is one main thing. You can see that most of the time we sit very slouched position. That's why in yoga always they say sit straight with the back straight. Always we see that when the spine is erect, the shoulders are relaxed and the chest is expanded, the breath, the vital capacity of the lungs increases. But when you see children, if it is so saddening, they just lie down on the table, they're couched up and they restrict the breathing so much, and all results in shallow breathing techniques. And then the abdominal adiposity, when the abdomen is full of fat, the diaphragm cannot go down, and overall obesity and the tight dresses and belts we wear, It prevents the abdomen from coming forwards so that the amount of oxygen and air that we take in is reduced. And as I said, it's because of the food we take with low prana. See, when we take natural foods, when we buy some spinach or some vegetables, the first day when we see that, we almost tempted to eat it immediately because it's so fresh. But you leave it in the fridge or outside for 2 days. If you take and cook and eat it, you will have the same carbohydrate, you will have the protein, you will have everything will be there. But the prana will not be there. So, all these foods with low prana, processed foods, all that we know. In these days, I don't have to talk about food. So, the fresh foods, vegetables, and sprouted grains, all are the things which contain a lot of prana, and that's why we are advised to take that. And excessive sex, that really drains out a lot of prana. So, now we'll come to the purification. Now, we know the causes of the problem. So, just reversing the cause, it is very, very simple. So, purification of nadis and chakras is akin to a cleaning a road to ensure smoother journey. This process is central to removing the stagnant energy, fostering a more harmonious energy balance, and enhancing pranic levels and overall well-being. Overall, when I say the physical, mental, emotion, and even the spiritual well-being. And there are so many methods for it. In traditional Chinese medicine, we have acupressure, acupuncture, moxibustion, massage, cupping, magnet, qigong, and tai chi exercises, which are very beautiful, gentle flow of the body, which make the qi flow along the movements where we are going. And of course, Maharishi has given a beautiful technique of 14-point acupressure. And in yoga, we have the corresponding things. They are called shatkarmas, asanas, mudras, pranayama, mantra, meditation, sattvic diet, and lifestyle balance. So, shatkarmas are 6 in number. They are called neti, dauti, nauli, basti, kapalbhati, and trataka. So, neti is cleaning the nasal passages with a neti lota, which ensures free flow of it removes the blockages in the nostrils. Dauti is cleaning the entire alimentary canal. Nauli is massaging and strengthening the abdominal organs. Basti is washing the large intestine, equal to an enema. Kapalbhati is both a pranayama and a calming cleaning technique. It purifies the frontal lobe of the brain. And Trataka is the practice of intense gazing at one point or light. This is what exactly Swamiji has given in Jivagandha Perkam, focusing on the light. So Ayurveda has Abhyanga, oil massage, and Panchakarmas also to ensure to remove the blocks in the nadis and ensure proper pranic flow. When we come to asanas, we have 2 types of asanas, dynamic and static asanas. Dynamic asanas are like Surya Namaskar, and then when you do repetitive movements involving the muscles and joints. So they increase flexibility, they loosen muscles, they speed up circulation, remove stagnant blood and from different parts of the body, and release energy blocks. Whereas static asanas, where we just take one position and stay in that position for some time. Like Sashangasana, we do Ardha Matsyendrasana, Mayurasana, Sashangasana. So static asanas, they have, when I hold a position for a period of time without moving, they have a more subtle and powerful effect on the pranic and the mental bodies. And they have, on the physical level, the particular asanas have specific effect on the particular endocrine glands and therefore the chakras. See, like Sarvangasana has an effect on the thyroid gland. Ardha Matsyendrasana has an effect on the pancreas and the Manipura gland. So, that is why we do asanas. That is to ensure the flow and also to have a good effect on the chakras and the endocrine glands. Now, I'll come to pranayama and meditation later. Before that, I'll just skip the small things like mudras. In Sanskrit, mudra means as a gesture or an attitude. So yogis have experienced mudras as attitudes of energy flow, intended to link the individual pranic flow with the universal cosmic flow. All of you know that we are always advised to take Chin Mudra or Jnana Mudra, so that is all because each finger has a definite association with the Panchabhutas, and then these cosmic flows are connected to our body. And bandha means to hold, tighten, or lock. You know that when we say band, they lock the stores, isn't it? So they are taught as part of a mudra, and bandhas aim to lock the pranas in particular areas and then redirect them. Of course, I told you if there is a block in the prana, then it causes problems. But when we do bandhas, we lock the prana in one area but redirect the flow into the Sushumna Nadi for the purpose of spiritual awakening. That's exactly what we do in Ashwini Mudra and Mula Bandha. And mantras. Mantra is nothing but gross and subtle sound. Sound exists in form of vibration, all of us know, which are of varying frequencies. So energy is also a vibration. So science of mantra sadhana uses these vibrations, a different type frequencies of vibrations, to synchronize the prana in the body and the mind. And then sattvic diet, I don't have to tell at all. It plays a very important role in health and in disease of the human body and mind. So improper food habits clog our systems and organs with toxins and impede the flow of prana. So Maharishi has given proper guidelines about the sattvic diet and how it purifies the nadis, and lifestyle balance also. In this fast-paced, target-oriented life, we are in the sympathetic mode most of the time. We are made to feel guilty if we sit quietly without doing anything. Summa irthal is considered a sin. We have become human doings instead of human beings, constantly drain our pranic stores. According to yoga, the negative pranic level in the body is responsible for the stress, anxiety, and depression. Just treatment of any mental patient, we have to give them dynamic asanas, a proper food, and then you can see that these people, and a rest. You can see that these people improve very much, just with yoga. So the conscious lifestyle modification and work and rest go a long way in restoring the quantity of prana in our body. So now we come to the pranayama and meditation. So pranayama is the art and science of inhalation, absorption, and assimilation of prana in the body. It uses the breath to influence prana and effect changes in the body and the states of consciousness. That is the most important aspect of pranayama, because breath is the bridge between the body and mind. How? Breath is the unconscious process that is happening from birth to death. Millions of people spend their life without becoming aware of even a single breath. But yogis knew the importance of connection between the breath, prana, mind, and the consciousness. So they have given us a complete science called Swara Yoga, a science of pranic body rhythms, which explains how movement of prana can be controlled by manipulation of the breath. So the breath is of two types, the gross and the subtle breath. The gross breath is the physiological happening in the body with the help of the lungs and the nervous system. It's happening in two levels. One is outer level where there is inspiration and expiration. Inspiration is taking in air, oxygen, and prana. We are not just taking air and oxygen. Prana comes attached to the oxygen molecule from the atmosphere. And expiration is sending out the air and carbon dioxide from the body. Whereas on an inner level, there is perfusion at two levels. One is perfusion of prana into blood and into the nadis, perfusion of oxygen from blood into cells, and perfusion of carbon dioxide from cells into blood. So when you take a fast breath, then it decreases the perfusion time. And that is where the problem lies, So that is why we are advised to take slow breath. When we are in the sympathetic mode, our breathing is very fast, so that the oxygen and prana have no time to go into the blood or in the nadis. So according anatomically, and when we see the breathing, we have three types of breathing. One is called in this right picture we can see. This is called the clavicular breathing, where you lift up your clavicle and the muscles of the neck and shoulder. And the other thing is it's thoracic breathing, where the chest expands. These ribs, they just come up like the handle of a bucket, and then the chest expands, causing a negative pressure, and then the air goes in. But the clavicular breathing is very minimal. Only the upper lobe is filled. In thoracic, there are three lobes in the lung. There is only upper, middle, and lower, and the lower lobe is the biggest one. So only when you take the chest breathing, only the middle, upper, and middle lobes they fill up. Only when you take the diaphragmatic abdominal breathing, this diaphragm which comes down, so that the lower lobe of the lung, it comes down and there is a full expansion of the body. So we have the chest breathing, thoracic breathing or abdominal breathing, for which the diaphragm is the most important thing. And then when we are breathing out, the diaphragm goes up, it relaxes, and then the chest contracts, and then the air goes out. So these are the three types of breathing. And there is another thing called a yogic breathing. A yogic breathing, what you say is, and just by another important finding is, when you are breathing through your chest, it is the sympathetic system that is activated. And when you are breathing with the abdominal breath, it is the parasympathetic system that is activated. You would have seen that when we get angry or very upset or nervous, the breathing becomes thoracic. And then if you want to do that, always what we say, take deep breathing, slow down. So when we take a deep breathing, that means the abdominal breathing comes into play, which eventually just alters even the beta waves. By just changing thoracic breath into diaphragmatic breath, the beta waves change to alpha waves also. But the yogic breathing, this is a combination of all these three breathings, clavicular, thoracic, and abdominal breathings. And it completely fills the lungs and expands all the lobes. Here, there is conscious and full inhalation. It starts with the downward movement of the diaphragm first, pushing it down, and then pushing the abdominal wall outwards, and then the rib cage also outwards. Finally, the accessory muscles in the neck and shoulder also, they lift up the rib cage, causing complete inhalation. And then the breath is held for a few seconds for the effective complete perfusion of the gases. As I told you, the gases and the prana need a little time to perfuse from the lungs into the blood. Whereas if supposing you eat something and immediately after eating you pass motion, immediately eating, passing motion, will the nutrients have time to get absorbed into the body? No. So similar way, when you breathe very fast and you don't give time for perfusion, your pranic levels are going to go down. So this yogic breathing results in a 2 to 3-fold increase in the volume of air, oxygen and prana during each breath, and ensures complete assimilation. And it's a simple and effective way to increase the pranic levels of the body, and also by changing the mental attitude by changing the brain waves. Then the breath and the nadi connection. This is a very important aspect. Though I was a doctor, till I came to yoga, I never knew that we breathe only through one nostril at a time. I don't know how many of the other people, except people in yoga, I don't know how many people will know that. Though we have two nostrils, predominantly we breathe only through one nostril at a time. This fact, which is known to the this is not known to the medical fact till recently. Now they know, and we call it dominant nostril breathing. And supposing you have a chronically dominant nostril breathing, you're supposed to develop one type of disease. Supposing the right nose is blocked, you always breathe through the left nose, you are going into obesity, you have hypothyroidism, all those problems. Whereas if your left nose is blocked and you're always breathing through the right nostril, you get hypertension, heart problems, diabetes, and all those things. So it has been proved by Romanian scientists now. And we saw that Ida and Pingala stop at the Agnya Chakra, and the right nostril breath is connected to the Pingala Nadi and the left hemisphere of the brain. The left nostril breath is connected to the Ida Nadi and the right hemisphere of the brain. So Pingala is the conductor of Prana Shakti, or the vital solar energy, giving rise to a feeling of dynamism, enthusiasm, and extroversion. Whereas Ida is the conductor of Manas Shakti, or the lunar energy, leading to inner tranquility, peace, and introversion. And Sushumna is normally inactive. Only when Ida and Pingala change sides. See, normally this one nostril breathing changes time after 90 minutes from right to left nostril. Of course, this timing varies according to the age, and in children, adults, it's different. In seasons, it is different. According to our mental state, it is different. So the left nostril breathing changes to the right, and then after 90 minutes, again, it changes over to the left. In this transition period, it's supposed to be, when these both nadis are equal, the Sushumna is supposed to be active. The Sushumna Nadi opens. So that is the time when Sushumna is active, there is supposed to be a drop of nectar from the Bindu Chakra that comes into the brain. So for all of us, from the Amrit is secreted every 90 minutes or 60 minutes for different intervals. But then it is not used up because it goes into the Manipur, and it is used up for the metabolic processes of the body. But so just to keep, if the Sushumna is open only, that Kundalini energy can pass upwards and then reach the Sahasrara. And then the whole brain will be fully awake, which is essential for the progress in meditation. All of you must have experienced that some days during meditation, your mind is constantly oscillating, which means Pingala is flowing more. Some days you feel dull and sleepy, which means Ida is flowing more. So this is why yogis always used to test their swara. Swara means which nostril it is flowing. Before starting meditation, they'll check their swara, and then they will correct it by doing certain things. One main thing is Nadishodhan Pranayama. So Nadishodhan Pranayama is done at the beginning of the meditation. Shodhan means purifying, Suddhi, Nadi Shuddhi. And so when it becomes clean, the passage becomes clean, and it equalizes the flow in both nostrils, so that the Sushumna is activated and your meditation is taken to a higher level. Swamiji has given a perfect system, but the amount of Nadishodhan Pranayama done here is woefully inadequate. A minimum of 15 rounds, that is 30 breaths, should be done to get your mind into a successful meditative state. Even without much of an effort, after 15 rounds of Nadishodhan, the mind will go into an alpha state. And then when the Sushumna is open, what happens is the energy below, that fire below is supposed to be kindled. Mooladharathu moondelu kanalai kaalal eluppum karuttarivitthu. Kaal means the breath. So by breath we have to increase the heat and pressure in the Sushumna and then raise it up. So imagine the churning of curds to get butter. There is a central pole with a rope around it. And there are two ends to the rope. And only when the two ends work synchronously, the central rod starts twisting and turning. If you just pull one rod more, it will just come out and the central rod will be just fall away. There will be no effect. The same with Ida, Pingala and Sushumna. And then you have to churn for a particular specific time for the butter to separate and come. Just 1 or 2 rounds will not have the desired effect. So if you take this analogy and think of Ida Nadi, Pingala Nadi and Sushumna, then you will know how these things affect the pranic levels in our body. So if the flow does not change even after Nadishodhan, there are other methods like pressure in the axilla, and then yoga danda, which you see yogis always carrying a danda and keep it under their armpit. So to change this, or if you do some dynamic asanas like Surya 2-3 rounds of Surya Namaskara, the pressure will get equalized. Another amazing coincidence to this in medicine, see, there is a hormone called GnRH, that is gonadotropin releasing hormone. So gonads are genitals, ovaries and testes. And there is a hormone in the brain called gonadotropin releasing hormone. This hormone comes and acts on the pituitary and pineal, and it helps to release the gonadotropins. Gonadotropins are estrogen, progesterone and androgens. So to release these hormones, there should be a signal from the brain, which is called the GnRH. And I was really shocked when I came in the first conference to know that GnRH is secreted in pulses of 90 minutes in our body. And what an amazing correlation, I thought. And then we have to substantiate it, and then we have to take it to the scientific community. So all of us know that we have 3 bodies, the causal, subtle and gross body. But the same way we have, in gross breathing, we are dealing with the air and oxygen. In psychic breathing, we try to experience and manipulate the psychic breathing comes later. So these 3 bodies have 3 separate energies also. So the causal body has the spiritual or the cosmic energy. I don't know if you equate it with the nuclear energy or atomic energy. And the subtle body has a different set of energies. The electromagnetism, the sound, light and radio waves and so many other things. Whereas the gross body is activated by the chemical and electrical energies. The electrical signals from the nervous system and the chemical chemicals from the hormonal glands and the intestinal tract. So these energies we have, and that is why, we have to think about different when we are talking about energies and subtle energy. Of course, this forum is more about causal energies, but when we think about prana and all that and gross body, that when they take different names, I think this represents the different type of energies in our body. The psychic breath. The psychic breath is an integration of the physical breath with awareness. It is the first key to pranic awareness. By following some steps, you increase your pranic awareness and then learn to direct it to any part at will. So stage one is first becoming aware of the breath. In any yogic procedure, anywhere you go, what do they say? Sit still, back straight, become aware of your breath. So just becoming aware of the breath is the first step in yogic practice, in the pranic awareness. And then the second stage is awareness of the sound of the breath during inhalation and exhalation. And for this we use what is called the Ujjayi Pranayama, which is something similar to the Ojas breath we take, where there is a slight contraction of the throat. So when you take the contraction of the throat, there is a slight snoring sound, like the baby snoring, a mild sound. That is called the sound of the breath, or the so hum. When we breathe in, it is called sa, and then when we breathe out, it hum. So that so hum is this awareness, that sound you have to become aware, and it should become natural to you. And then the third stage is, by this awareness and by the sound, experiencing the tranquility and relaxation it causes inside your system, inside your mind and in your body. And then you can feel the flow of energy, the flow of prana. Then you direct the prana at will to any part that you want. And for this we have one thing called the psychic passages. Any pathway in the body through which awareness, breath and prana are directed in one stream of combined force. It's called a psychic passage. It acts as a laser beam, so powerful, that combined force of breath, prana and your awareness. So the most important of the 3 passages are, of course, Ida, Pingala and Sushumna. Tanduvada Suddhi is a psychic breath from Mooladhara to Agnya. Ojas breath is a psychic breath used in kayakalpayoga. And directing the prana to every part of the body is a psychic breath. And when there is a problem or you have a disease in one thing, you take, Swamiji has taught you in meditation, you take that and then you send that prana to that part of the body, and that is a psychic passage. So with practice, you can direct prana to any dysfunctional or diseased organ in the body to heal it. So when you are adept at it, you can direct prana to heal another person. And this knowledge of pranic healing is known as the prana vidya. So now we come to the most interesting part of it. I know Dr. Rabindranath has joined. Okay. Now we talked about so many nadis, but the most subtlest nadis in our body are 3 numbers. One is called the Vajra Nadi, the other is Chitrini Nadi, and the Brahma Nadi. Usually when we say Sushumna, we just know that there is inside the, of course, in a spinal column, if you see the cut section of our spinal cord, there is an empty space. In anything, when you take an apple or fruit or anything, when you cut, you can see that in this thing that you have a void, you have a empty space in the center. Similarly, in our spinal cord also, we have an empty space running from the bottom to the head. So in that
central canal. It is called central canal.
Yeah, the central canal. So that is what contains these nadis. And we think it is the Sushumna Nadi only is there in the spinal canal. But then inside the Sushumna, there are supposed to be another 3 nadis, which are called the Vajra Nadi, Chitrini, and Brahma Nadis. You can see the picture here. See, this is the spinal column, the central, there is empty central space, and then the nadis, all the nadis going up. All these spiraling things are the Ida and Pingala. You can't see it here. This is the Ida and Pingala on the outer side and Sushumna in the center. And then as it goes up, it is the Vajra Nadi, Chitrini, and then Brahma Nadi. Here you can see it well. It is Sushumna, this is the Vajra Nadi, Chitrini, and Brahma Nadi. So they are not fixed sheaths. So here comes, this is thanks to Dr. Rabindranath. So they are not fixed sheaths. They are flows of different aspects, speeds of prana. Sushumna Nadi is outermost and the largest of these subtle nadis, through which the Kundalini rises, leading to spiritual awakening in higher states of consciousness with a lot of force. And then as they go, the flow becomes slower and slower. And when they become slow, they just come into these, then the Vajranadi is activated and then the Chitrini is activated. So, and the Brahma Nadi is supposed to be the innermost layer from, or they call the Brahma Dwara, from which, this, our consciousness, it goes through till the Kabbalam. And it's supposed to be as fine as the strand of the spider web. And this is the pathway of the highest center of conscience, transcendental experience, and also the death at will sadhana. That is Kabala Moksham. For some yogis, they want to leave their body. This is what they activate. How they know how to activate the Brahma Nadi. Then through that they join the absolute space. And this is exactly what Dr. Rabindranath has said in his lecture so many times. So you're all familiar with it. And this corresponds to the beta, alpha, theta, and delta waves, and how this picture. And why I projected it was to say that this knowledge was there already thousands of years ago. These things, what we call waves, they have called it nadis, and they've given it names also. And then the states of consciousness depends on the speed of the particles and the flow of prana. So when Ida and Pingala are flowing, you are in the waking or a dreaming state. When Sushumna is flowing, you are in the sleeping or meditative, that is missing. When Sushumna is flowing with awareness, it is meditation. When Sushumna is flowing without awareness, it is sleeping. When Vajranadi is flowing, it is Turyam. When Chitrini is flowing, it is Turyadidam. When Brahmanadi is flowing, it is Samadhi. So, it is, I'm sure Dr. Abhi is happy to see his slide corroborated with the nadis and consciousness. And as I went through the program, you would have noticed how Maharishi has completely incorporated all the principles of purifications in his system. The asanas, pranayama, acupressure, mudras, bandhas, massage, meditation, diet, aruguna siramaipu. It's given a perfect system because Maharishi knows that Shuddhi, that is purification, leads to Siddhi, perfection. There is no Siddhi without Shuddhi. We've been doing these practices all along, but I hope the knowledge of Nadis will give a little more clarity and direction to these practices. The Nadis are not just pathways of energy, they are harbingers of balance, the architects of our inner harmony, and keys to unlocking the highest potential in us. I want to repeat that. They are harbingers of balance, the architects of our inner harmony, and the keys to unlocking the highest potential, which is to become one with the Absolute. The wisdom of these subtle energy systems can lead us to a more profound state of health, vitality, and spiritual awareness. வாழ்க வளமுடன். Dr. Rabi?
வாழ்க வளமுடன். Rabi is very much here.
Okay.
Dr. Devi and Rabindranath were classmates in the medical college. And I have hardly spoken to her or interacted with her throughout my medical college career. After that, we both come from Coimbatore and the same college, but still we have not moved with each other. But after coming to Maharishi, somehow I have got Devi along with me in these sessions. I took her to the Kayakalpa research. I took her to the students camp, health camp, and everywhere, and also to the Life Force series of lectures. And she is having the foundation from the Bihari School of Yoga. And Maharishi has come much later. He doesn't tell us about all the details which Dr. Devi explains here. But Maharishi, as Dr. Devi herself says, that Maharishi has given everything which is special in classical yoga, in sky yoga. And how he has introduced all those principles in simplified Kundalini yoga, in Manavalakala yoga. That is something which is very important, and we have to. Now we come to know about the classical yoga through Dr. Madam and our own sky yoga from Maharishi. And you have to study both, what covers which aspect of it. And I request Dr. Devi to tell on some other day what is revealed in the classical yoga, why Maharishi has simplified the classical yoga to simplified Kundalini yoga. He doesn't talk about pranayama, as all of you know, but so much in pranayama is there. And without pranayama, classical yoga itself misses a lot. So, but still, Maharishi, knowing very well, he didn't give importance to pranayama. Why? Simply because the bandha, the holding of breath in pranayama, is giving more side effects according to Maharishi. And he said, we don't want it. The inspiration, the holding of the breath and expiration, and again holding of breath. So there are, in classical breathing, pranayama, you have inspiration, hold the breath, expiration, hold the breath, and again inspiration. So this is not a stress, this holding the breath in between inspiration and expiration, expiration and inspiration. This is, according to Maharishi, is giving some trouble, which he wanted to avoid. That's why he didn't tell about this thing. Again, the chest and the lungs within the chest wall. It is a very ingenious way of the divinity to place the lungs within the chest wall and cover it up with pleura. And lungs and pleura both together are kept within the chest wall. We have muscles of respiration, that is the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles and the accessory spinal accessory muscles which help in the clavicular breathing and all. So if you look into the blood flow and the air flow in the lung, it is peculiar. The blood is subjected to gravity more and it is rich in the lower lobes. Compared to this, you have the upper lobes. The upper lobe area is smaller and confined to the apex of the lungs. And in the apical regions, the air is more and the blood is less. What will be the result? The air is interacting with the blood in the apical segments where the blood is lesser quantity. So more exchange takes place. Oxygenation of the apical blood is much more than the oxygenation of the lower lobe blood. And when I looked into the dynamics of the blood flow in the arch of aorta, the left ventricular outflow tract is directed to the aorta, and blood from the left ventricle goes straight to the carotid artery and to the brain as such. And next it comes to the mid zone of the lung, where it is innominate artery and subclavian arteries taking blood to the limbs, upper limbs. And still below, the least oxygenated blood goes to the lower limbs. And lower limbs doesn't require more oxygenation. And the difference, more oxygenated blood to the brain, least oxygenated blood to the lower limbs. This is the not stressed even in the yoga literature. I may be wrong because I have not gone through the yoga literature fully. What David, do they mention about this in yoga fields?
No, they don't mention about this. I'm not a complete this thing about yoga, but I want to clarify at this point one small thing, because next another time there will not be time. So pranayama is not just holding the breath. So there are so many pranayamas where you don't hold. Even in Nadishodhan pranayama, you don't hold the breath. But if you talk about Nadishodhan itself, that might take 1 hour. So what is important is the ratio between the inspiration and expiration. So 1:2. So that ratio has to be maintained, and then the alternate nostrils, so that we are affecting the nadis and the balance between the sympathetic parasympathetic system. That is one thing. But why the kumbhaka, why holding the breath is called kumbhaka? As you said, after inspiration if we hold, it's antar kumbhaka. After expiration if we hold, it's called bahir kumbhaka. So there are a lot of, ratios for this breathing. And then everybody thinks carbon dioxide, why do you want to hold breath? Then carbon dioxide is only retained inside the body and carbon dioxide is bad for you. That is what everybody says. But this carbon dioxide, when it is held inside for a time, it dissolves and becomes a carbonic acid. And this carbonic acid, because there is no oxygen, it starts stimulating the production of more capillaries. So a person who is used to kumbhaka for some time or regular breathing with this holding of the breath will have more capillary system even after heart attacks or myocardial infarction. If you do this and with the breath holding, they have seen that there is a lot more capillaries form around the block, and then the heart revives much better than people who don't do this pranayama. So that is one explanation I want to give. The second explanation is, when you have these proportions, like supposing you breathe for 4 counts, breathe out for 8 counts, then you will breathe 15 to 17 times a minute. If you breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, breathe out for 8 counts, hold for 4 counts, hold outside for 4 counts, then your breathing rate will come down to 12. If you breathe in for 4 counts, hold it for 8 counts, breathe expiration 8 counts, breathe out and then holding the breath outside for 8 counts, then your breathing will come down less than 10. And then still this proportion can go on. Whereas, so that the number of breaths you have will come down from 15 to 18 to 3, 4, 2, like that. And yogis can breathe even once in 2 minutes because of this breath holding capacity. And then when you have no breath, there is no thought. And when you have breath is slow, I said the prana and the consciousness is the same, or two sides of the same coin. So when the prana, when the breath is not there, then the consciousness, there are no thoughts also. Then you go into a mauna state and then go into meditative delta wave or even something more than that. So that is the aspect of pranayama, and it is not detrimental to the body, but you have to do it very slowly. Get your body to get accustomed to this holding spells and then to the levels of the carbon dioxide level. So that is what is pranayama, and it is not that it is harmful anyway to the body. If you don't do it properly under the guidance, then it may become harmful. That's all.
Thanks for the clarification, Dr. Devi. The Maharishi was used to say, even if only a minor percentage of people are benefited by this yoga of which he teaches, he is satisfied, because he concentrates that no one should suffer from any of the side effects. And with all simplified physical exercises and simplified Kundalini yoga, we don't have time to do it. We miss the yoga schedule often. And in such a state, how are we going to bring down the breath rate to below 10 or 8, or breathing once in a minute, or still prolonging longer? The advantages of taking very few breaths in a yogic life are well explained and understood. That is, with every breath movements itself, there is disturbance in the changes in the blood flow and the prana dynamics. So, to correct all these things, to connect all these things, Swamiji has given this thing. It may not be without any reason. The only thing is, we don't know. And when we hear both the classical yoga and simplified Kundalini Yoga, I want the participants to understand what is stressed by Maharishi and what has been practiced by the classical yoga followers. It is, both are different, and to confuse both, I want you to spend time on each study, and then you affect a change in your practice. And see, what I have understood with respiration is both the prana or the magnetism, biomagnetism, and movement of air, both are following the same respiratory movements. The air that is going in has the atmospheric air rich in oxygen, and that is 16 to 20% there. And when it is breathed out, it contains more carbon dioxide. And this ratio of the gases and the number of breathings we take, and when the yoga practitioner really attains the higher levels, at that time, what are the body requirements of prana? Almost, but for the brain, above the level of the eyebrows, the activity is more in a successful yogi practitioner. Below the level of the eyes, the rest of the areas, they are not acting normally. They are almost going to hibernation level like that. And the body works differently in a acclaimed yogi, whereas the normal person, it is the one who has not attained to that level. The way the body reacts is different. The upper airway goes up to the level of the throat, and here both air and the energy of the meditative energy, the more than biomagnetism, that both these oxygen and this flow together. But when it goes beyond, then the oxygen's, the inspired air stops with the chest, and what goes from the heart to the lungs, the prana circulation is via the blood also, and the blood flow continues, whereas the pranic energy that travels in a different way. Both the energy and the air circulation bifurcates at the level of the chest. The circulation of blood from the chest, from the heart to the entire body is without the outside air. It is only the gas that has exchanged into the blood that is only flowing. And this is different. And when we conscious breathing with awareness, that state is, Dr. Devi showed us that it is different. And when you are directing your prana, the energy, pranic energy, it can go straight to any part of the body which the mind contemplates. If you want, you can send it to the brain, top of the brain, cortex of the brain. If you want, you can direct it to the big toe. Anywhere you direct, it goes. And when we are trying to direct the prana to any part of the body where it is deficient and required, then you can correct it. You can pass the energy to that place. After taking the kayakalpa, the ojas energy can be directed to the area which you want. Maharishi generally directs it to spread it from head to foot throughout the body. But when you have a heart ailment, when you have a decreased blood supply to heart, you direct the ojas energy to the heart and it is with benefits. Like that, we can direct the energy to any part of the body which we like because there is a dissociation between the oxygen and the oxygenized air and the energy mixed with the air, the prana which is passing along with the air. And below the circulation itself is different when it comes beyond the level of the heart and the chest. The
I
air.
think we could give some time to the people to give feedback.
Oh yes. So that is the thing, and we have so many points to be careful not to confuse with the two systems. Understand the systems and then do some research and then come to a conclusion. That is what I wanted to say. Right. Participants, it is your time now.
Hello, Doctor. Now it is 11:40, that means 9:10 IST PM. So I will try to provide the recording as soon as possible. So you all will be ready for the questions. Amma, next week can we have a QA session if it is okay, or we want to continue another 30 minutes or 15 minutes? I am fine. So you guys please decide. I am where I am. Swathanthira Devi.
Questions from the participants.
Yeah, Warholaman. Yogiraj from Ireland. Dr. I will keep it very short also. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm happy.
Thank you. Yeah. Amma, நீங்க ரொம்ப நல்லா explain பண்ணீங்கம்மா Nadis பத்தி. But I read a book about Ayurveda written by Dr.Dr. He teaches Ayurveda all over the world, like, and also I got trained by British Medical Association on acupuncture. We do both like the traditional and medical acupuncture. And I want to say something that you can say very boldly that the system of meridian did not start from TCM. It did start from Ayurveda. It has its roots in Ayurveda, and that is also referenced in the book what Dr.Dr has written, like. And even in our training manual from British Medical Association, they have very clearly said that it roots back to like system of Ayurveda around the time 5,000 years ago, like. So I definitely, agree with you that the TCM have kind of, standardized it or have made it very simple, but the roots still takes us to the system of Ayurveda. அது வந்து எனக்கே வந்து அதை பார்க்கும்போது கேள்விப்படும் ரொம்ப உண்மையா தான் இருந்துச்சு. I will leave it to the floor for opinion on that. அதுக்கப்புறம்
even the acupressure points are Varma points only. It is taken
yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So அது அந்த ஒரு இதுவுமே வந்துட்டு நான் வர்மா பாயிண்ட்ஸ் வந்து படிக்கும்போதோ இல்லை அவங்களுடைய கார்லேஷன் பண்ணும்போது எக்ஸாக்ட்லி இட் ஜஸ்ட் கோஸ் வெரி க்ளோஸ் ஆர் parallel to the nadis or the acupuncture points, like ஸோ அந்த ஒரு இதுவுமே நல்ல ஒரு கார்லேட் ஆச்சு. அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்துட்டு நம்ம இதில் ரெஸ்பிரேஷன் வந்து ஏன் அவ்வளோ இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் கொடுக்கல அப்படின்ற ஒரு கேள்வி எனக்குமே இருந்துச்சு. பட் என்னுடைய சொந்த அனுபவத்தில் வந்துட்டு என்னோட ரெஸ்பிரேட்டரி ரேட்டை நான் அப்சர்வ் பண்ணி பார்த்துருக்குறேன். ஐ ஹேவ் லைக் வென் வி என்டர் இன் டு டீப் ஸ்டேட் ஆஃப் மெடிடேஷன், அந்த ரெஸ்பிரேட்டரி ரேட் வந்துட்டு ரொம்ப ட்ராப் ஆகிடுது. Like it can come to 4 per minute, or it can come to like now like respiration பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் they do say that it is voluntarily involuntary, or you can make it involuntary and voluntary, like so அப்படி பார்க்கும்போது அந்த lamas in Tibet and Butiko breathing, they have worked a lot on it. அந்த ஒரு இதுல வந்துட்டு அந்த மைண்ட் பாடி கனெக்ஷன்ல நம்ம மைண்டை ரொம்ப ஸ்ட்ராங்கா வச்சு நம்ம மெடிடேட்டிவ் ஸ்டேட்டுக்கு வரும்போது பிரீதிங் பை நேச்சர் பை டிஃபால்ட்.
Yes, there are two ways. One is இது affecting the pranaவும் breathum பண்ணும்போது hatha yogaல through the breath you go into the pranic or states of consciousness. In Raja Yoga you activate the mind. Through the mind you go into the states of consciousness and the breath.
Absolutely.
So it is like a seesaw. It's a seesaw. That's why there are two systems. And what I am talking is the Hatha Yoga, and what Maharishi has said is the Raja Yoga aspect of
it. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But one thing, if you do a lot of pranayama for a long time, your natural breathing rate, goes down, and your respiratory rate, heart rate are directly proportional. So your respiratory rate, when it comes down, your heart rate comes down. And then the yogis knew that your brainwaves also come down. So they all three are directly proportional. So that is one thing. And then so heart rate comes down, then your heart rate variability, that is also maintained very well. And now you know that heart rate variability is an important marker for heart problems. Because when the heart is low, we see when there is a heart rate, we think heart is not taking any rest, beating from birth to death. But every beat, the heart takes rest for 1/3 the minute. There's 1/3 systole, 1/3 diastole, 1/3 rest. That is where the ECG you see an isoelectric line. So, but when the breathing is fast, that only the rest period is stolen. So heart goes on beating without rest, and then that is why you get all these heart problems, and then that's why the lifespan is reduced. So when you take pranayama, when you reduce the number of breaths, the heart rate slow, and then the heart has more time to fill up. The heart reserve becomes more. The pulse, see, when you do exercise, if your heart rate is 50 or 60, you to go for 100, 110, it will take a long time. The reserve is there. If your heart rate is 80, then very soon you get breathless. So, and then this is what determines the lifespan also. So that is why we do pranayama to increase the lifespan also. So that's why they say, இறக்கி இருக்காலும் பூரிக்கும் காற்றை பிடிக்கும் கணக்கறிவாரில்லை, காற்றை பிடிக்கும் கணக்கறிவாளருக்கு கூற்றை உதைக்கும் குறியதுவாமே. கூற்றை, even the death you can postpone if you know the secrets of pranayama.
Absolutely. And the heart rate variation, HRV அப்படின்றத இப்போ லேட்டஸ்டாக ரிசர்ச்சர்ஸ் போயிட்டு இருக்கு, ப்ரீதிங் அண்ட் HRV. அண்ட் அதே மாதிரி யோகா ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணுறவங்களுக்கு ஹெச்ஆர்வி எப்படி போயிட்டு இருக்கு அப்படின்ட்டு. பட் லைக் ஈவன் நானுமே ஒரு இது ட்ரை பண்ணி பார்த்தேன், அது எனக்கு அது கரெக்டாக செட் பண்ண வரல. ஜெர்மன்லேருந்து இன்னொரு கவுண்டர் பார்ட் இருக்கிறாங்க நம்ம இங்கே யோகா பண்ணுறதுக்கு. அந்த காதில் வந்து ஒரு ப்ரோப் மாட்டிட்டு அதுலேருந்து வந்து ஹெச்ஆர்வி நம்ம ப்ரீத்திங் ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணும்போது, புட்டிகோ பண்ணும்போது, மெடிடேஷன் பண்ணும்போது எப்படி வந்துட்டு ஹெச்ஆர்வி வந்துட்டு இதாகுது, ஃபங்க்ஷன் ஆகுது, ப்ளஸ் அதை எப்படி ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணுறது பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தோம். பட் வி ஹேட் சம் செட் பேக்ஸ் இன் செட்டிங் அப் த மெஷின்ஸ், அந்த ஹெச்ஆர்வி மிஷின் இது பண்ணுறதுக்கு. So this happened pre-COVID and things fell apart. Like, but I agree with you absolutely about the HRV, which is the latest in the research on like predicting or even the outcome வந்து இது பண்றதுல, outcome இது பண்றதுலயும் வந்துட்டு it plays a major role there. லாஸ்ட்லிங்கம்மா, அந்த ஸ்லைட் நம்பர் 63ல ஒரு ஸ்லைட் போட்டிருந்தீங்கம்மா, அந்த நார்மல் பர்சன் அண்ட் யோகிஸ், அது கொஞ்சம் எனக்கு புரியலைங்கம்மா.
அது வந்து so imagine a tube like அதுக்குள்ள I said there are the Sushumna Nadis outermost, and then Vajra, Chitrini and Brahma. So the particles which have a faster pace, they are on the outer ring. Where they slow down, they come inside. It's not fixed sheath. It's just the movement of the pranic particles. Prana is a particle, we say, no? or energy or a
Yeah.
particle. So when
Yep.
they slow down, they move to the center. Then that comes into the Vajranadi and then into the Chitrini Nadi. And when it comes to the Brahma Nadi, it becomes almost, the pathway to Brahman.
Okay. ஓகேங்கம்மா ஓகேங்கம்மா ஆமா இப்போ நான் அது மறுபடியும்
that is
சொல்லுங்கம்மா.
Rabindranath flight, that is.
ஓகே ஓகேங்கம்மா ஓகேங்கம்மா நானுமே டாக்டர் ஆகிட்டா அதை பற்றி கேட்டுக்கிறேங்கம்மா. அப்புறம் லாஸ்டா வந்துட்டு நம்ம அந்த ரூட் சக்கர லொகேஷன் இருக்கு இல்லைங்கம்மா, ரூட் சக்கர லொகேஷன் வந்து நம்ம இனிஷியேட் பண்ணும்போது வந்து வி ஜஸ்ட் கோ டு த பேஸ் ஆஃப் த டைல் போன், த காக்சிஜியல் போனு. பட் பெரினியல் பாடி நீங்க ரெஃபர் பண்றீங்க. நான் அதை எப்படி பார்த்தேன்னா இட்ஸ் a கைண்ட் ஆஃப் like an energy location in AP and both anterior posterior directionலயும் lateral directionலயும் எல்லா பிளேன்லயும் எடுத்து சென்டர் பாயிண்ட்ல எக்ஸாக்டா வந்துட்டு like you take a little cylinder and the bottom of the cylinder like a boat. So you go in AP direction and also in lateral direction, and the cross section, the intersection where there you can imagine this root chakra, which is like an energy center. But on a perineal body ரொம்ப கீழே வந்துருது இல்லைங்களாம்மா?
Yeah, perineal body is that external இது. அதுக்குள்ள வந்துட்டு, I mean, that is not just inside the skin. It goes about 1 inch அளவுக்கு உள்ள வரைக்கும். That is a thickened structure there. I mean, what I said was, this is the anatomically corresponding structure. Everything, like the glands are the anatomically corresponding things for chakras. Muladhara, that perineal body is the correspond. That is what you activate in the physical body, so that in the astral body, the Muladhara will be activated.
நம்ம இனிஷியேட் பண்ணும்போது வந்துட்டு நம்ம அவ்வளவு தூரம் போக மாட்டோம் இல்லைங்களா? So if you say that there is a location, ஒரு சும்மா ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு இந்த கேள்வி தான் கேட்குறேன், ரொம்ப சிலியான கேள்வி தான் கேட்குறேன். சிலியான கேள்வினா இப்போ வந்துட்டு நார்மல் ஆடியன்ஸ் வந்துட்டு இல்லை, நானுமே பெல்விக் ஹெல்த்ல இது ட்ரைனிங் எடுத்துக்கேன் ஃபார் போத் மேல் அண்ட் ஃபீமேல். ஸோ அவர் லேண்ட்மார்க் ஆல்வேஸ் ஸ்டார்ட்ஸ் வித் பெரினியல் பாடி. when you want to like an imagine a triangle, and in the body வந்து அதுல சென்டரா இருக்கணும். So like you have the pubic symphysis, and then you imagine a triangle where the perineal body is right in the middle, where your landmark is. ஸோ அந்த பெரினியல் பாடியிலேருந்து நம்ம வந்து மூலாதார சக்கரம் லொக்கேட் பண்ணுறோம்னா, நம்ம இனிஷியேட் பண்ணும்போது இல்லை ஒரு லேமேனாக வந்து அவங்க ஒரு கேள்வி வந்து கேட்பாங்க, நம்ம அதை இனிஷியேட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு வந்து அங்கேருந்து நம்ம இனிஷியேட் பண்ணுறது இல்லையே அப்படின்ட்டு, மூலாதாரத்துலேருந்து நம்ம குண்டலினி ரைஸ் பண்ணும்போது.
See, this is a very big subject. Kundalini itself is a very big thing. And I don't want to, because as Dr. Rabindranath and I have problems with this breathing, this Kundalini and the perineal body is another big subject. I don't think we have time. So
ஓகேங்கம்மா,
for some other time.
ஓகேங்கம்மா, வாழ்க வளமுடன். ரொம்ப நன்றிங்க ஐயா. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
வாழ்க வளமுடன்மா.
வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Amma வாழ்க வளமுடன். It was very informative. Can we have a questionnaire section next week, Amma? It will be very helpful.
See, actually, at the beginning, at the outset, I said I'm not contradicting Maharishi in anything. It is just a different view of perception as seen by yoga. And these things are already here. That's all. There's nothing of mine in this. It is just what I gathered wisdom. That's all. Anyway, if you have questions, you can put them on the WhatsApp also. Maybe
Okay.
I can answer in the WhatsApp itself.
Okay, ma. It was very informative, but it will be very helpful also while teaching them at the center. We can tell more about. If someone asks doubt, we can tell. It was very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma. And it was new to me also. Everything new. So it was very good, productive.
Yeah. Shall we
conclude the session, ma?
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Devi Amma. வாழ்க வளமுடன். வாழ்க வளமுடன். Amazing. All blessings. May the world be blessed with plenty of rain. The farmers work to produce an abundance of grain. Let practitioners of all prosper, flourish and grow, and culture progress through the need to share and grow. Let the rulers be beyond feelings of anger or fear, illiteracy, poverty, and all evils made to disappear. Let the true lamp of knowledge burn steady and bright. Our sense of duty guide us along paths always right. உலகமெல்லாம் பருவமழை ஒத்தபடி பெய்யட்டும், உழவரெல்லாம் தானியத்தை ஒப்புடனே பெருக்கட்டும், பல தொழில்கள் புரிகின்ற பாட்டாளி உயரட்டும், பகுத்துணர்வில் தொகுத்துணர்வு பண்பாட்டை உயர்த்தட்டும், கலகங்கள் போட்டி பகை கடந்தாட்சி நடக்கட்டும், கல்லாமை கடன் வறுமை களங்கங்கள் மறையட்டும், நலவாழ்வை அளிக்கும் மெய் ஞான ஒளி வீசட்டும். நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும். நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும். நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும். வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன்.